What's happening? It looks like Hulk's blood is attacking Dracula's blood. This could explain why Marvel keeps delaying the Blade project. They might be planning a solo Dracula movie first. There are several clues that point in this direction, but the biggest hint is the constant pushback on Blade's production. Let's break down everything known so far about Marvel's potential Dracula solo project and the SEXEAO. For those unfamiliar with Dracula's history in Marvel Comics, here's a quick rundown. The Marvel version of Dracula first appeared in The Tomb of Dracula, #1 in April 1972, created by Jerry Conway and Gene Cohen, with Marv Wolfman later joining as a co-writer. Before that, a different version of Dracula had shown up in #7 back in 1951, when Marvel was still known as Atlas Comics. At the time, the Comics Code Authority had strict rules against vampire stories, but that changed in 1971, allowing Marvel to introduce Dracula shortly after Morbius the Living Vampire debuted in The Amazing Spider-Man. Initially, The Tomb of Dracula was kept separate from the rest of the Marvel Universe. Marv Wolfman wanted to focus on horror elements without the presence of superheroes. However, eventually, crossovers became too tempting and Dracula ended up facing off against Spider-Man and Giant-Sized Spider-Man, #1 in 1974. Marvel even published a comic adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula novel in Marvel Classic Comics, #9 in 1977. Over the years, Dracula's story has taken some wild turns. He was supposedly wiped out along with all vampires by the mystical Montesi formula in Doctor Strange, but that didn't last. He made a comeback in The Tomb of Dracula, miniseries under Marvel's Epic Comics imprint in 1991, and showed up in Night Stalkers and Blade Comics in the 90s. Dracula has clashed with major Marvel characters, including Apocalypse and X-Men, Apocalypse vs. Dracula, and Doctor Doom and Captain Britain and M13. More recently, he played a major role in the 2010 X-Men storyline Curse of the Mutants. Marvel's version of Dracula has had a long and chaotic history, and with rumors of a solo Museo project, it seems he's about to step into the spotlight again. Now, let's discuss how Dracula's potential solo movie in the MCU could introduce a variety of Marvel characters who've had significant interactions with him in the comics. Given the hints Marvel has dropped and the broader supernatural elements they've been building, several key figures stand out as likely candidates for the film. One of the most obvious choices is Blade, who's been delayed multiple times but remains a major player in the MCU future. In the comics, Blade and Dracula have a long and bitter rivalry, with Blade's mission revolving around hunting vampires, Dracula being the most powerful. A Dracula movie could set the stage for their inevitable showdown, possibly establishing Dracula as the ruler of Marvel's vampire world before Blade steps in to challenge him. Another strong contender is Hannibal King, a vampire detective who has appeared in stories involving both Blade and Dracula. Unlike most vampires, Hannibal refuses to drink human blood, making him more of an anti-hero. He could serve as an ally to those opposing Dracula in the film or act as a reluctant informant caught between his nature and his moral code. Marvel could also introduce Lilith, Dracula's daughter in the comics. She's one of the few vampires powerful enough to stand against him, driven by a deep hatred for her father. If Marvel wants to add family drama, Lilith could be a key antagonist. A more unexpected possibility is Doctor Strange, who has fought Dracula multiple times and even used the Montesi formula to wipe out all vampires. Given Strange's history with supernatural threats, he could play a small but crucial role, perhaps helping Blade or another hero find a way to defeat Dracula. There's also a chance that Wonder Man, who's confirmed to be getting a Disney Plus series, could be tied to this. Though not traditionally linked to Dracula, Marvel could connect his resurrection abilities to something supernatural, possibly involving vampires. Marvel has also been setting up the Midnight Suns, a supernatural team that includes Blade, Morbius, Ghost Rider, and other dark heroes. A Dracula movie could introduce key figures like Jack Russell, who appeared in Werewolf by Night, or Elsa Bloodstone, a monster hunter. Lastly, Baron Blood, a Nazi vampire who has clashed with Dracula and Captain America, could also expand the vampire lore of the MCU. A Dracula solo film wouldn't just be about him. It would serve as a gateway to the supernatural side of the MCU, introducing a darker, more horror-inspired corner of the franchise. An unexpected twist could involve Dracula as a reluctant hero with Blade positioned as the antagonist, at least from Dracula's perspective. This fresh narrative could explore Dracula's realization that wiping out humanity isn't the solution. The story could delve into a moral dilemma, with Blade believing that exterminating all vampires is the only way to protect humanity, while Dracula attempts to control the vampire population to prevent war. This could set up a gripping ideological battle where both characters believe they're doing what's right. And that's a wrap for today's video. If you want to stay updated on all the latest movie and series news, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Stay tuned for more updates and see you in the next one.